For the past century, industrial farming practices and the globalisation of our food supply have caused great damage to environmental systems and contributed to the climate crisis. As the impacts of soil degradation and water scarcity increase, so does the impact on the quality of our food. So how do we feed a growing population safely and sustainably? I'm here in London to find out if urban vertical farming is part of the answer. Welcome to UK Reporters. I'm Frankie McCamley. From here in the BBC Newsroom, we send out correspondents to bring you the best stories from across the UK. In this week's programme, a major blow to Britain's Brexit strategy. This is a dark world where the unimaginable happens to children. They're born into a life where sex is sold on every street corner. In a brothel that's so popular, it's grown into a village. It's now home to nearly 2,000 sex workers and their children. I've come here to Dowlatdia in Bangladesh to meet women trapped into a life of debt and sex slavery and to find out how charity workers are trying to help young girls escape the inevitable.
I didn't eat deliberately, so I was too skinny to do the work. I knew the men preferred bigger girls.
When I was about 7 or 8, my mother brought many men into our home in the brothel. One man tried to do bad things to me.
Louise is taking her methadone.
I had a very, very nasty habit when I come here.
Her son was born addicted to drugs, but living here means she can keep him with her.
Cheers, Kat. Thank you.
Do you feel a bit calmer now you've got it?
Yeah.
Already?
Yeah.
So knowing that you can do this
And
then
still
walk
have
out.
my little man is brilliant.
Around 20 women enter these gates every year. We've got to keep the location secret because many are fleeing domestic violence. They'll have to follow a strict drug and alcohol rehabilitation programme. The hope is they'll leave here in around 6 months' time, drug and alcohol free, and with their children. Slumped, zombie-like, and barely conscious. We're told he's just taken spice. Another man meters away with similar symptoms. And everyone we speak to on the streets knows where to get it.
It's around the central area, it's around anywhere really. Anywhere.
Some in this drop-in centre for homeless people say they felt the effects.
Just like chill, but like in space, you know, like you're in space. And then 1 minute you're taking it and then next you get hooked and then lose control.
And others say the problem's not going away.
It's a lot worse now than it was before, a lot worse. The reason why they're on this spice is because it's cheap. It's only £5 a bag, weed is £10 a bag, so they're all going for the spice where it's cheaper.
Spice is a drug often associated with people sleeping rough, but police tell me it affects people of all ages, all over the city, and the problem is getting worse.
Correspondent Frankie McCamley is at Gatwick Airport for us. Frankie, what are returning holidaymakers telling you?
Well, Kerry, in the past couple of hours, we've had 2 flights from Croatia land here. And I would say there's a mixed bag of feelings from different passengers. I had one family come through who said they were upset and angry that they weren't given enough time to make arrangements to try to fly home. They say their 3 children are all now going to miss a few days of school on top of the school they've already missed. I spoke to another group of travellers who said that they were in fact due to fly back yesterday, but they were forced to fly back today because their flight was overbooked, and this now means that they're going to have to carry out 14 days of quarantine, and they say they're going to try and seek some kind of compensation. But some other travellers have said to me, you know, this was a risk they took, and this time the risk didn't pay off. And of course, as these restrictions are being put in place in Croatia, Austria, Trinidad and Tobago, the restrictions in Portugal are now being lifted, and we do actually have 2 flights going to Faro later on this afternoon. So I think what a lot of families and people across the country are going to be asking themselves today, next week, should we risk coming to the airport and travelling abroad and heading away to sunnier climes, or should we stay at home and risk the British weather instead?
Frankie, thank you.
Every marker represents a lost baby, taken away from their parents after a miscarriage or stillbirth decades ago. Most of their families have no idea where they are.
Why didn't I hold him? Why didn't I look at him? But it was too late. He'd gone.
40 years ago, Yvonne's baby was stillborn. He was taken away. She never saw him.
All I had was a priest come to see me and just say that he will have a proper burial. Next morning, ready to go home, that was it. I've always wished I knew where he was to go to a grave.
Quickly removing a baby's body was common before the 1980s to avoid traumatising a mother further. Medical practice has completely changed now, but it meant thousands of families didn't get a chance to say goodbye. Paula Jackson traced her friend's twin sister, who died just 9 hours after she was born 60 years ago. Piecing together old records, she realised her experience could help other bereaved families, so she now does it for free in her spare time.
Thank you so much, Paula, for finding my baby after 48 years. We have traced almost 800 babies from 1935 up to the 90s.
Somebody can attack you and rape you is the same as a father who is loving to his wife and his children.
Sometimes I wonder is he going to try to see him? Is he going to show up here? Is he going to show up at school?
It was what it was. It was rape. At the end of the day, it was rape.
Go. Bring the dogs over here.
Tiffany lives in Michigan. She became pregnant after being raped at the age of 12. For nearly 10 years, she's been looking over her shoulder, worried her rapist may turn up to see her son.
His niece had messaged me saying that he wanted to see him and that they would come pick him up from my house and take him. I was scared. I didn't know if I would have to actually let him see him. Because at that time, the judge had said that the parenting time and the legal parental rights were there, that he had it. He had the piece of paper.
The law in Tiffany's state allows her to withdraw her rapist's parental rights. Many women have to find thousands of dollars to do that, but she received legal aid for her fight.
First, when we'd found out, we didn't know how we were going to afford a lawyer. I mean, we were living paycheck to paycheck.
All right, come on.
More than 1,000 miles away in Florida, Annalyn is another rape survivor who's been through the legal process. She moved here after giving birth, but her rapist tracked her down, demanding to see her daughter.
Florida law had nothing in place to prevent this from happening. Nothing, which is pretty horrifying. I mean, let that sink in.
Annalyn's case changed her state law, which means women can now automatically have their attacker's parental rights withdrawn. In other states where laws have been introduced, they still vary considerably. Some need a rape conviction to withdraw parental rights. Clear and convincing evidence of a sexual assault is enough in others, but in 4 states, rapists are still given automatic parental rights. This school has managed to stay afloat and build new facilities by selling some of its land to a nearby property developer, but others across the country don't have that luxury. Some say they're struggling so much they might have to shorten the school week. The Department for Education says funding is at its highest ever level, nearly $44 billion, compared to spending of just over $30 billion 8 years ago. But teachers say what matters is spending per pupil. Analysis shows that has actually fallen by 8% since 2010. Thousands of people come to see the changing of the guard every single week. But those crowds, paired with the location of this ceremony at Buckingham Palace, makes this a high-profile target for terrorists. So what does that mean for PewDiePie here on YouTube? This is one of the most sought after tables here in the restaurant, where the likes of Tom Cruise and Kate Moss have sat.
Now his paintings are worth millions in their own right. Frankie McCamley has been to see him in his studio in Montpellier in the south of France.
Wolfgang owned houses across Europe, a vineyard and a yacht. He was selling paintings for millions until this, titanium white. Thank you very much.
Right, okay. Have a nice trip, Frankie.
Thank you. See you guys. Happy Red Nose Day.
Okay.
Bye. Amazing. And with the red nose. Oh my God. If you ever want to see Birmingham, get up there. Yeah, bring it on. Bring on the next one. Where's next? Next hotel. Come on. Come on. Tomorrow. Maybe not. Maybe not.